Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And as Martin was saying, I'm going to attempt to define and perhaps summarise what Vapetrotter is. So, firstly, Vapetrotter isn't really any one thing at all. It's a number of things. It's first and foremost a directory. It's a global directory of vape retail shops. Secondarily, it's a legal database, which we'll go into in a moment as well. And it's also a full-blown news platform, and there's a wiki in there as well. So today, in the limited time that we have, I'm hoping to summarise some of those key elements for you, and we'll drill down a little bit into the site itself. So whilst the service is based on a large website, which is broken into two, it's all available there at vapetrotter.com. But overall, the idea is to just scratch the surface of it a little bit today and explain a bit about what it's about and how it came to be. So, Vapetrotter was the brainchild of actually my son and his business partners. They started working on this project about 12 months ago now. There were thousands of man-hours put into the construction of the service, and it was soft launched in December of last year, just before Christmas, so it's actually still quite young, about 6 months down the track now as we speak. And in that time, it's grown extremely rapidly. Initially, the decision was taken to soft launch with pretty much zero advertising. It was put up on Reddit and Facebook just to see the extent to which viral word of mouth could drive it. And we were all shocked by the results. So 6 months down the track, we now have a database, a directory database of over 27,000 retail outlets, and this covers 121 countries, and in fact the monthly traffic now exceeds 2 million visits, and that includes over 700,000 unique visitors per month. So a large chunk of the global vaping community already. The database itself covers over 160 countries and many more regions within those countries as well. Another interesting point is that within the first few days of the soft launch back in December, this was just before Christmas, as I said, we were already getting hits from Antarctica of all places. So, and this was, I remind you, on simply word of mouth, nothing more than that. And within the first week, we're already getting scientists from the whatever they do in Antarctica, logging in and using the service. So it's grown extremely rapidly. So let's just have a quick look at the directory side of it, and then we'll look at legal news and the wiki as we go through. So what you're looking at there is the main map. Now it's a very interactive service with easy, intuitive controls to be able to guide your way through. So when you first log onto or just jump onto the website, you'll be presented with this map. So what it's doing there is it's showing you by colour coding the number of vape stores in those regions. So this is aggregated at this level of magnification. When you zoom in just simply by scrolling in on the mouse, you'll start to zoom in towards smaller geographical regions. So here, funnily enough, we're looking at Poland and some of the surrounding countries, and as you can see, some of the place markers start to open up a bit and show more localised results. Now if we zoom in a little bit more than that, a little bit further, we're now looking at Warsaw, and suddenly the aggregated results turn into individual stores. So each of the little red markers there is a bricks and mortar physical retail shop. So if we keep zooming in, it's just a matter of clicking down and zooming through. We come to, when you hover the mouse over, you can start to look at the details of each of these stores, whether they have any reviews or ratings left on them, and a little bit of a splash photograph of what the store looks like from either the outside or the inside, depending on what the owner may have put in there. So if we go through a bit further and click on that, we come down right to the individual store. So this is one just down the road from here called Edime. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but Edime will do for now. And as you can see, this one has had a number of reviews left on it. It has a very good rating. It's a nice looking store, so on and so forth. And it positions it on the map there for you. So on this level, when we're looking at the individual stores, users themselves can leave ratings. So they can go and describe their experience at the store, give it a rating out of 5, and they can look at reviews that have been left by other users, other visitors to that store. The owner, on the other hand, can respond to those reviews, and they can also post their own pictures. They can run promotions and promote sales, various product lines if they want to, and really anything they want to do there. That's the dedicated page for each owner, and they can verify their ownership of that store. And then as we come back out again into the global view, we can see here at the bottom left just here, it's worth mentioning that although we maintain and update this database still on a manual basis, and it's important that we do that because addresses change, product lines might get dropped. We need to make sure that each of these venues is in fact stocking vaping products, and that we've got the addresses and geolocations correct. So most of that is still done manually, although we've recently added some functionality that allows the store owners themselves to update those details, and also to add any stores that they may have opened since the database was made active. So this means that the whole thing is organically updated, leading to a much enhanced user experience with everything being up to date and verified. So as we move through, here we can see where the store is, obviously, the geolocation details, and all of the other relevant details for the store. And that would be if the owner needed to change any of those details or add a new store that didn't exist before, something like that. Hopefully not delete stores, we don't want them going out of business, but that also can be done as to keep the database clean. So as you can see, it is a massive database with extremely broad reach. It's estimated around there are around 20 million odd vapors in the world today. We're covering more than 10% of that in terms of hits per month at the moment. So for the purposes of promotion to both the database itself, which is the retail stores, and also the promoting to the users of those stores, this service is really second to none as far as targeting, accurate target marketing is concerned. So with that in mind, we are open to discussions on both exclusive and non-exclusive use of our database for commercial purposes. And if you'd like to know more about that, certainly feel free to come and see us at the booth over the next couple of days. We are just toward the end of the right-hand side as you go down towards the media corner there. I think we're the second last one. So pop along and see us. So we'll move on to the legal side of it. So Vapetrotter, part of the service, is also a full-blown global legal database. Now, one of the issues facing the vaping community worldwide is that the laws lack consistency. Some would argue they lack fairness in certain instances, and there's a broad range of treatment as far as vapors are concerned, depending on where you are in the world. I can give you a brief personal experience on this, just in the last 48 hours or so. As you can probably tell from my accent, and those of the others in the company, we come from the great land down under. And coming here was quite an adventure, let me say. We spent more than 30 hours flying, with a long punctuated pause in Singapore due to security issues with the Trump Kim Jong-un meeting. So we had a long delay, and to give you an example of one country's laws, in Singapore, if you are caught vaping or caught in possession of vaping paraphernalia, you can be fined $400,000 and or imprisoned for up to 10 years. So that's one extreme of the spectrum, if you like. Then another extreme might be somewhere like the UK, where it's very progressive, and in fact even the National Health Service has recently been making noises about encouraging people to vape inside hospitals, doctors and patients, instead of going outside to smoke cigarettes. So that's the other end of the spectrum, if you like, and the rest of the world is somewhere on that broad spectrum. And the spectrum, unfortunately, is a rich mosaic of messiness and inconsistency, illogic and unfairness. In any event, it is what it is, and vapers have to cope with that. So Vapetrotter helps there, because we list all the countries in the world, the legal and regulatory details for all countries. It's easy to find, starting with just a broad view again, and we drill down, as we saw in that last example of the directory service. And so we cover not just the countries themselves, but the regions within the countries. The country I'm from, for instance, we have several different states there. All of them have different laws. They all differ to federal law. It's very confusing. In any event, we can solve that here. So, as you can see, the countries can be broken down by regions. Listing the countries, very easy to find what you're looking for. Click on where you're going or where you happen to be if you're not sure of what your local laws are. And then finally you get to a summary of the legal situation in that country. So at this level, we're just looking really at a summary. This is more for users themselves, for vapers, in other words, just to get a brief idea of what the laws are. For others who may want more information, the links here at the bottom take you to the full technical details of the law. It's pretty massive, and that's more useful, I guess, for researchers or legal experts or commercial enterprises who need to know every little detail. And this will be actually available for pre-order in hard copy form. Again, mainly for research and educational purposes or commercial purposes, and we have pre-order forms available for those. So certainly, if you're interested in that, that'll be updated quarterly in hard copy form. And if you're interested in anything like that, of course, come and see us as well at the booth. So moving on. Just briefly, this is another part of the service, and this is the news area. So Vapetrotter includes a full global news platform for all news vaping related. This could be to do with new product launches, could be interviews with industry figures, could be regulatory changes, which would be highlighted here and linked back to the legal part of the database. Really anything here, reviews, product reviews, as you can see there as well. So it's a full-blown, very broad-based news platform as well. And then finally we have the wiki. Now this addresses another major issue in vaping in general, which is the steep learning curve involved with anyone wishing to take up vaping in preference to something like smoking, for instance. Over the years, and vaping hasn't been around for that long, but in the time that it has been around for, it's been a massive growth in the industry, and that growth has come with the development of a new language as well, and lots and lots of vape-specific terms are now commonly used in the vaping community, and a complete mystery to those who are not in the vaping community. Now, whether these are newly made up terms or amalgams of previous English words, or they could just be purely esoteric chemical terms. Whatever it is, there is a steep learning curve in switching to vaping, learning all of that jargon. So the wiki addresses that. There are hundreds of terms referenced in here, and they could be from the colloquialisms right through to technical explanations of chemical names, for instance, or physical laws, for instance. We cover everything from squonking, squonk boxes, right through to Ohm's law, with detailed explanations of all of it. Also, each term is cross-referenced and hyperlinked throughout the site. So this is a site-wide policy that whenever a term is used anywhere in the site, be it in the legal database or the news side of things, or anywhere for that matter, it could be in a product review, Whenever a term is used that appears in the wiki, it's underlined so there's a quick reference available. Hovering the mouse, as you can see there, comes up with a little summary box, in this case propylene glycol. And if you want further technical details, all of that's just another click of the mouse away. So it pretty well addresses the problem of this learning curve. It doesn't take the problem away. Everyone will still obviously experience that curve. However, this makes it much more easy to scale. So finally, well, not quite finally yet, but let's talk about some partnerships that we've developed. So Vapetrotter is in fact already, even after only a few months of existence, we're already the official media partner for many global trade shows to do with e-cigarettes and vaping in general, listed on the left there, as you can see. They cover all continents: the United States, Europe, Oceania, Asia. And we've also developed key partnerships with major industry figures in the areas of hardware, e-liquids, advocacy, publications and so on, and those are listed there on the right. So rapid growth for what a service that's effectively only existed for about 6 months or so. Things happen fast at Vapetrotter. As for future plans and growth, the very next thing on the agenda for us will be native apps for both iPhone and Android. This will include a number of enhancements to the existing service, particularly in the directory. We're looking at giving users the ability to opt into geolocation on an individual basis, in other words, so they can see the stores near them at the time, wherever they are. Lots of other tweaks will be going on there as well, make it more usable on mobile devices. It is usable at the moment on mobile devices simply by being on the web page, but this will be another major milestone to develop a native app, or native apps I should say, for both Android and Apple iOS. And also, I should mention before going on there, there'll also be a business-to-business Inside Industry magazine available soon as well. And again, if you're interested in knowing any more details of these things, by all means come and see us at the booth. We just simply don't have time to go into all of it right now. So there's the business-to-business magazine. And finally, investment opportunities. So hopefully with that brief overview so far, you can see that we have a rapidly growing service here with massive reach as far as targeting to the directory listings, the retail stores, or to the users who visit those stores. The reach and accuracy of targeting is literally second to none. So we are actively pursuing more partnerships, and we have various areas in which we're happy to hold discussions with investment opportunities as well. Over the next few days, we're available, of course, to talk through these things, and we'll be actively pursuing that going forward as well. But I think hopefully you can all appreciate with the growth that we've had so far, it's proven the viability of the service. It's been proven extremely popular among the vaping community and growing all the time. The number of stores being added after we've just introduced that new functionality I mentioned a few minutes ago, that was introduced roughly 2 or 3 months ago. And already we're looking at more than 100 stores, new stores per day being added without us having any involvement. So these are owners themselves. So the organic growth is proving to be huge as well, and the numbers just keep going up. So hopefully that's given you all at least some idea of what Vapetrotter is. And by all means, we're happy to talk to everybody. I won't be taking any questions right now for the simple reason that if you do have questions, we'd much rather answer them in full depth and do it properly. So we'd encourage you to visit us over the next couple of days over at the booth where we can do that. And obviously we'd like to meet you all as well. So that's it for me, folks. Hope you found that informative, and we'll see you over the next couple of days, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.